Hi folks, Chef Ian here, and we're in the Cooks Collective and we're doing Kitchen 101. And I'm going to show you today a classic soup, pea and ham, and we're going to be doing it in the Ninja pressure cooker. So our ingredients that we've got obviously is our pork hock, our split green peas. I've already soaked these, washed them through, rinsed it out, got rid of all the starch. You don't have to, like a lot of recipes will tell you, to soak these overnight. No, you don't need that. My vegetables in this: carrots, onion, celery, roughly chopped. Our flavourings we're going to be using is obviously from Spice Lab, our Italian classic, and we're going to be using a little bit of the Melange of Peppercorn in the dish. I don't expect to put any salt in this, but we'll test it at the end and double check it. So, pretty straightforward. I've got my hock here. If you can get a beautifully smoked one, I got this from my local butcher, and it's a beauty. And just open that up now, you can smell the smokiness in that. So that's going to go straight in the pot. Chuck my peas in there. Carrots, onion, and my celery, my herbs, and we're now just going to add our water. Okay. Okay, so our lid's on, making sure that we get the seal component on. It's on pressure cook. We've got 45 minutes. Okay, so the Ninja now will go through its warm-up phase. When it hits that temperature, it'll go into its cooking phase for 45 minutes, and then it'll switch off, and then we'll release the pressure and we'll finish the soup off. So we'll let that do its thing. Now, if you don't have a pressure cooker, you could do it the old-fashioned way, and that is just in a stock pot on your stove. So all those things that I've just done, throw it on the stove, bring it to the boil, and then let it simmer. But unlike the Ninja, taking 45 minutes, on your stovetop it's going to take 3 to 4 hours. So that's the difference, and what we're talking about here is about efficiency and speed, and that's why I love this product and I love the Ninja. It doesn't have to be a Ninja, obviously. Any pressure cooker will make the process of making this soup so simple. So we're just going to let it go through its paces, and then I'll show you how to finish the soup off and how we're going to serve it. So I'll see you in 45 plus. Okay, welcome back. Okay, the Ninja has finished its cooking cycle. I've released all the pressure, and take the lid off, and so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the hock out, because I want to take all the meat off the bone and return it to this. So I'm going to let that cool down for about 10 minutes or so I can handle it, and I'll show you what the next step is in this. Just to give you a bit of an idea, all our peas have cooked down. All the vegetables are all soft. So we're just going to, as I said, let things cool down for a sec, and I'll come back in about 10-15 minutes and we'll go through the final stages of how we're going to serve this soup up. Okay, welcome back. All right, so our pork hock's been out of the soup to cool down. Basically what we're going to be doing now is taking all the flesh off. So I'm going to use my knife here and taking all this skin off because we don't want that in the soup. I know some people say add it. I don't think so. I think it's a bit rubbery. So, and if you've, the meat should literally just fall away off the bone. So, and it is better to do this when it's still hot, but obviously, you know, just be careful you don't burn your fingers when you're doing this. So I'm just going to remove as much as the meat as I can. Obviously the big gristly bits and, you know, bits with large amount of fat, we're just going to discard. Bring that back around. As you can see from this hock, this was quite a large hock, so we've got quite a large amount of meat on it. I picked this up from my local butcher. You can, as I said, pick up your hocks at the local supermarket. They probably won't be as big as this one though, and probably won't have the flavour because a lot of the hocks you buy supermarkets aren't smoked. It's like bacon. When you've got bacon, it's properly smoked. It's a much different flavour than bacon that's just available in the supermarket. All right, I'm pretty happy I've got most of that flesh off. So let's put that to the side. Again, if you've got any bits of fat or gristle, and you don't really want that in your, and because we're going to puree this down, you just got to make sure too there's no bone anywhere in this. Just trim that bit of skin off. And there's a bit of sinew there on the end, so we'll just take that off. And a bit of sinew on the end there. And use that. All right, so I am going to keep a little bit of this meat for our garnish on the soup, so I'll just pick out a couple of pieces here. And I'm just going to break that down. Put in my little dish here. Now there is an old fashioned garnish for pea and ham soup, and that's what are called Sippets. Sippets is bread that's been cut into little cubes and then either fried or toasted, and they're added to the soup at the end. So I know when I did my apprenticeship back in Melbourne in the late 70s, pea and ham soup was pretty popular and it was always served with Sippets. I will do a little short tutorial separately if you want to add Sippets to your soup. But as I said, it is an old fashioned one. So I'm just putting all that meat now back into soup. Right. Now, we're going to blend this down. I'm going to use my stick blender here. If you don't have a stick blender, and this used to happen to me, again, as an apprentice in Melbourne, we had to put the soup through something like this, what they call a chinoise, and we'd pour the soup into this, and then using a spoon, we'd actually have to pass it through to puree the soup down. And when you're making maybe 50 litres of soup, your arms certainly know about it by the time you finished it. So the invention of the stick blender into commercial kitchens is a big boon, and certainly if you don't have one of these in your home kitchen, I'd certainly suggest you look at buying one, because they are great. So I'm just going to now there will be a bit of noise here. I'm just going to blitz the soup down, pureeing it all up. Just be careful when you're doing this that you don't lift this up too high, because otherwise you're going to splatter pea and ham soup all over the place, and if you've got boiling hot soup, it's not a great thing to happen. So always just keep it and just move it around. So you're getting to all parts of the soup. Now if you just want to check, get your ladle and just check that you've got everything. It's getting pretty close. I'll just give it another quick blitz. All right. I'm pretty happy with that, so let's put that down. Get my ladle again. Now, pea and ham soup, you can have as thick as you like or as thin as you like. To me, this is probably just a little bit too thick, so I'm just going to add a little bit extra water to it, about a cup or so, and just to I'm just looking for that nice pourable level of thickness. Again, your choice. Okay, so, and at the same time too, while I'm doing this, I'm just going to just run around the sides, because I noticed that we've got a little bit of herb up on the sideboard. I'll bring that back into it. Here comes the next important one. Taste test. Does it need anything? One thing for me, and if you've got beautifully smoked pork hocks. You normally wouldn't need any salt. I'm going to do some pepper, but I'm going to add some pepper at the end, not in the soup now. You'll find too with this soup, as it sits, it's going to develop more flavour. So again, it's a crazy thing. Like curries and bolognese sauces and that, they always taste better after a day or two of aging. So I think you'll find that, you know, whilst this is going to come out of the pot now, beautiful, you let this cool down, put it in the fridge. And by the way, your pea and ham soup will last in your fridge for 4 to 5 days without a problem. Just put it in sealed containers in your freezer and it's going to last you months. So just remember though, when you reheat your soup, it's going to be a lot thicker. Add a little bit of water to it when you reheat the soup. All right, I'm happy with my soup as is like that. So I've got my soup bowls here, and I'll just ladle it in. Now, when you're ladling, and you're like me, and yeah, you get a few drops. Little chef's tip here is when you're taking the ladle to your bowl, have a little side plate and just cap that under it till you get to your bowl, and then pour, and then come back with that. Same concept. So you're not getting any drips. So same again. And okay. So we've got our meat that will sit in the center of the bowl. And then I'll just a little bit of cracker pepper and melange. Now you could also, if you wanted to, a little bit of chopped fresh parsley on there, but pea and ham soup doesn't need a lot. It's got lots of flavour in it. And again, using the Ninja, you saw how fast it was. Again, if I was doing this on the stove, and for those who don't have a pressure cooker, yeah, you're going to get the same result, but it's going to take you, as I said, 4 to 5 hours to do, when we knock this over in just under an hour. So we've made up with this recipe about 6 litres of soup. So you've got plenty of soup there. For your friends and family, portion it up. As I said, you've got a go-to soup anytime you like. So that's it for this Kitchen 101 in soups in the Cook's Collective. Pea and ham soup is not something that's difficult, easily knocked over. It's something that's achievable if you just follow the steps that we've just gone through. So until next time in Cook's Collective, enjoy your food. We'll see you next time. Cheers. Hi folks, Chef Ian here, and we're following on in the Cook's Collective Kitchen 101 soup. And we did the pea and ham soup, and this is a garnish that we used to do when I was an apprentice down in Melbourne, and it's Sippets. Now Sippets, I think, is an English tradition, and basically they're just pieces of bread that I've cut up into pieces. So this is just the end bits of some sourdough that I had, and they're either pan fried, deep fried, or baked in the oven, and then put onto the soup at the end. So I guess sort of like their the English version of the French crouton. So anyway, to do this, pretty simple. A little bit of some of our spice slab Italian classic herb, just so it just gives a bit of flavour in there. And then just going to give it a spray with some oil. You can flavour sippets whatever way you want to. You could even put a little bit of garlic in there. I have seen people do sippets even with a little bit of cheese as well. But we're going to stick pretty much to tradition. So into the air fryer. And I'll just give them another quick light spray. I've got this set for 185 degrees, 5 minutes, and we'll let the air fryer do its thing. Yeah, back when I was an apprentice, we either did them on the stove in a pan, or if you're in a real rush, and I don't recommend this, drop them in the deep fryer, and I've seen plenty of cooks and chefs do that over the years as well, but you get that really oily taste in it, so I don't recommend deep frying them. Again, just showing the versatility of what the Ninja 11-in-1 can do. So let it do its thing, and I'll show you how we serve it on our pea and ham soup. Okay, so the Ninja's finished its cycle here. So all we're looking for here is just to crisp them up. So you're looking just for, as I said, just those being toasted. I'm just going to lift that out. I'm not sure how I'm going to lift this out. Okay, so there's our sippets, nice and crunchy, and I guess that's what we're wanting here, is to give the soup just a bit of extra crunch. So sippets were normally just placed on the soup last. So for those people who love getting your bread and dunking it into soup, and a little bit extra flavour, I'm going to add also, just for a bit of colour, a little bit of chopped parsley, and to finish, just a little bit of our pepper. There you are, folks. There's your pea and ham soup, just finished off with the addition of sippets. If you've got any leftover sippets left, just put them in an airtight jar. As long as they remain dry, you'll be able to use them for other dishes as well. Not just, as I said, for just putting it into a salad, not just for the soup, but what you've got now is a soup with that addition of sippets with that little bit of crunch. Nothing better than a beautiful pea and ham soup on a cool, rainy day. And they've got plenty of those coming up over the next few months. So this soup is a real winner. And again, so easy to do using the Ninja. So till next time in Kitchen 101 and in Cook's Collective, enjoy.